Hello guys. So one of the most frequently asked questions that I get all the time is, what's the difference between a data analyst and a business analyst? So in this video, I'll be showing you the major differences between being a data analyst and being a business analyst. So let's get into the video. Hello guys. So let's look at the differences between the data analyst and the business analyst. As a data analyst, your focus is on using data to help the business answer key questions and also to solve problems. So the fundamental objective of a data analyst is problem solving. All right. So you are taking data, extracting data, analyzing the data, getting insights from the data to help the company take data-driven decisions. That's your fundamental role as a data analyst. So you are very heavy on the use of technical tools like Excel, Power BI, SQL, Tableau, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, as a business analyst, you look at the holistic performance of the company as a whole. All right. So you are looking for inefficiencies, you are looking at processes and helping to optimize those processes. All right. So you're mapping out the current process that exists in the business, the as is processes, looking for the loopholes, looking for the inefficiencies, implementing strategies that would lead to optimizing those inefficiencies and eventually leading to B2B processes within that organization. Number two, as a data analyst, you are more technically focused on the tools required to extract insights from data. Okay, and we'll talk about this as we move further into the slides. Now, as a data analyst, you understand how to use Excel, how to use Power BI, SQL, Tableau to understand what is happening and also answer the question why it happened. All right. So as a business, for example, you've made profits, you've had increase in revenue in January, February, March, but then going into Q2 in April, you had a decline in revenue. Okay. So that is what happened. So as a data analyst, you would show that picture of what happened and also dive a little bit deeper into the data to understand why it happened. So that's your role as a data analyst. As a business analyst, on the other hand, you are looking at how these insights from the data analyst would lead to the overall performance of the business. Okay, so how will solving problem A, B, and C leads to the increase in revenue, leads to the company meeting its strategic objectives along the line? Okay, so and this is where you have the data analyst and the business analyst collaborating. So there's a convergence between the both, roles, and this is simply because the business analyst would have seen areas for improvement, areas where you have inefficiencies, and then understands the requirements by interacting with stakeholders within the business and providing those requirements to the data analyst. The data analyst then goes gather the data required to solve those problems or help answer the questions from those problems that exist identified by the business analyst. All right. So let's move on to number three. The data analyst would work a lot, cleaning data, transforming the data, preparing the data for analysis. So this means that your understanding of those technical tools, like I mentioned, that cannot be overemphasized. So you are building dashboards, you are generating reports to communicate the findings from your analysis. So this is the current state. This is where we've agreed that we should be in Q1, for example. However, we are falling short of our target. So you have a dashboard, for example, that helps to track the budget versus the actual. Okay, so in Q1 2023, you've agreed in your strategic meeting the previous year that you want to make 5 billion in Q1. Now, looking at what the data says, you are currently doing 2.5 billion. So you are falling short of your targets. So as a data analyst, you are tracking and monitoring that performance, okay, by generating reports, by generating dashboards, and also finding out, diving deeper to understand why it happened across the business, which particular units, which particular division is leading to that shortfall. Okay, as the business analyst, on the other hand, you are working with the stakeholders, with the management, serving as a bridge or as an interface between management and the business itself. So you're interacting with stakeholders, heads of departments, understanding their needs, understanding their requirements. So you're building business requirement documents, okay, by understanding where the business needs to be in line with the processes and the things that needs to be optimized within the business itself. Okay, so that's the fundamental role of the business analyst. Now, you don't just interact with the internal stakeholders, you also interact with external stakeholders. So you've identified a process, and part of the things that would optimize that process eventually, make the process more efficient, would be to develop an application or a software that will speed up, a lot of inefficiencies within the company. Now you need to bring in a software developer. So your understanding of the software development lifecycle as a business analyst to help communicate the business requirements from the business itself to the software developer that will eventually develop that application that would lead to improved efficiency. So these are some of the tasks and responsibilities from the two parties. And I hope this clearly communicates that the roles focuses on two different aspects of the business. Okay, you could have some overlaps, all right, but the focus and the skills are totally different. And we'll talk about the skills, the tools, as we move into the next slide. So let's move on to the tools and skills required for the data analyst and also the business analyst. So for the data analyst, like I mentioned, the key focus is on solving problems, helping the company answer questions. So to solve a problem, you need to understand the problem. You need to have the skills to dive deeper, understand the root cause of that problem, and how to eventually compartmentalize the problems into different buckets and attack them one after the other. So how to identify root cause, so root cause identification, the McKinsey model, for example, that helps you clearly separate problems into mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive parts. So all the facets of problem-solving techniques as a data analyst, you'll be understanding that. And also communication, because it's important that once you've analyzed the data, you understand what is happening, you've seen some insights that needs to be communicated to the management or people that take decisions at the end of the day. So you as a data analyst, you are aiding that decision-making process. So you also have to be able to communicate. And that also leads to number 3, where you have data storytelling. Okay, so this is you being able to communicate what you've seen in a compelling way that will drive the key stakeholders to actually take the required decision based on the recommendations you have seen, which is, of course, data driven. Okay, so data storytelling is actually very key, which also is a fallout from communication. And then looking at the tools itself, and this is for a data analyst getting started, getting a job as a data analyst anywhere in the world, irrespective of where you are, learning Excel, Microsoft Excel, to extract, to get data, analyze the data, summarize the data, and so on and so forth. And then Power BI for business intelligence, building dashboards, building reports, automating the process of generating reports. Same with Tableau. Tableau also for data analytics and business intelligence. Use Tableau to do a lot of amazing data storytelling, creating stories, and also building reports to communicate the insights you have found from your analysis. And of course, you can't be a data analyst without understanding SQL, structured query language, that enables you to extract data from databases and interact with databases, basically. Now, moving to the business analyst, you will be communicating, asking a lot of questions, and also interacting with the key stakeholders within the organization and also with external stakeholders. So your interviewing skills will be top notch. Okay, asking the right questions, elicitation, and this is simply where it all starts from: being able to ask the right questions, right type of requirements or answers that would help to eventually lead to an optimized process, as the case may be. Communication skills, this cannot be overemphasized. You need to have these skills as a business analyst to help you execute, communicate, and perform your duties and activities as a successful, productive business analyst. People skills, to discuss, sit down, have a one-on-one, have an interview with somebody. You need to have good people skills, how to talk, how to communicate with people, and so on and so forth. And of course, some other technical tools as a business analyst would be Jira. You'd use this to manage projects, monitor projects, collaborate, and also track the performance of some projects that you would be handling as a business analyst. And Draw.io would be used to map out processes. You use this to do wireframes, process mapping, and so on and so forth. And then Confluence for collaboration. So you have Confluence to collaborate with other team members, and this would also be a key focus for a business analyst. Now, you'd also learn some data analytic tools that a data analyst would also need, and this is Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Now, they're all together here because, unlike the data analyst, the business analyst is not focused on using these tools to extract and communicate insights. Now, it's a good to have or a nice to have for a business analyst, but it is a must have for a data analyst. All right. And this is just based on the trend that we've seen over the years, where a lot of organizations and companies are starting to look at the business analyst role to also have a little bit of touch or a little bit of understanding of the data analytic tools. Okay. And that's why you have that here as well. Now, so what does it take to become a data analyst or a business analyst? Absolutely zero requirements. So you don't need any requirements to become a data analyst or a business analyst. All you need to do is to actually learn the skills that will get you started as a data analyst. Okay, so all the skills can be learned by anybody. You can learn all the skills and requirements, from problem solving to Excel to Power BI to SQL to Tableau, and then you can get started as a data analyst. And of course, you need to also understand the business you're working with in order to help them drive data-driven decisions. And going to business analysis, just the same as a data analyst, you don't need any requirements. Anybody can get started as a business analyst. You can learn the skills, learn what is required, learn all the skills that help you get started as a business analyst. So we listed them out when we got into the skills, and the skills required for a business analyst and a data analyst. Okay, zero requirements. You can get your journey started whenever you want to, gain the skills needed, and you can get started as either a data analyst or a business analyst. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope you've learned one or two things today. Till we meet again in the next video. Have a wonderful time, and cheers.